When you start to look at the on-chain cost basis, the funding rate, I think for most people, it's interesting. They understand it, right? You're doing a great job explaining it. But to me, this idea of on-chain cost basis and are we above or below where that is seems to be like a really, really important component. And right now we're sitting below this. So first, describe what exactly is on-chain cost basis, and then what does it mean when we're below it for a period of time?
For technical traders, the way you can think of this is volume weighted average price. But for anybody who's not technical, it's just looking at the average, price that investors bought in. And specifically, we're looking at short-term holders. So these are entities who have held their Bitcoin for less than 155 days. And so we found that this kind of price level is really important in terms of how Bitcoin, price action has interacted with it. What we see is that whenever it kind of retests, that's generally a time you want to buy when we're in kind of an uptrend. I'm trying, we'll talk about this, I guess, at the end, but I'm trying to kind of get away from this concept of these binary bull and bear markets, and remind me to talk about that at the end. I don't want to start like going off on a tangent while I'm talking about this, but I do want to talk about that at the end though. But yeah, so whenever we're below, it's generally time to be cautious. And then whenever you have these so when we break below, you can have bearish bias. And then when we have these underside failed retests, that's when you get that confirmation. So if you look at 2017, we bounced off this several times. We broke below after that blow off top. And then we got confirmation when we had this failed underside retest, AKA dead cat bounce back up to that on-chain cost basis and got rejected off of that. Had three more rejections. Headed in kind of the depths of the bear. When we finally broke back above that kind of signaled that we were coming out of the bottom of the bear market. Had this kind of mini rally into like 14K in 2019, which was primarily driven by the plus token kind of artificial lockup of coins. Moved back down and we kind of went sideways leading into the COVID crash. Finally broke back above, and then we got that confirmation. So that confirmation is really key. We got that confirmation in September of last year after that move we just talked about when we plateaued, flushed down 20-25%. We retested that cost basis there and then moved higher without retesting it at all. Broke below in May, so that's where you would have, ideally wanted to be risk off. Came back, broke above, coming off of those lows in like late August. Retested, almost a textbook reset at the end of September of this year. And most recently, we bounced off of this last week, but then this week we've now broken back below. And so to me, this is a signal of caution. And so, I think as an analyst, your job is to really remain objective and pay attention to what the market is telling you rather than, what you want to happen or what you hope is going to happen. And, at the time, just being objective, we've broken below the short-term holder cost basis. It's time to be cautious, and I'll happily, and I'm not saying like I'm a giga bear or like I'm insanely bearish. I'm just saying that I'm not a bull until we reclaim this, and that's at 53K right now, which also aligns with the $1 trillion market cap threshold for Bitcoin, as well as also a pretty solid technical level as well. But until we reclaim that, I remain to be kind of cautious and definitely not bullish. At least in kind of an extreme way. And so for the bulls, you obviously want to see this reclaim. If this gets reclaimed, then I'll happily flip bullish again. I'll say, okay, look, hey guys, the market has showed me that we've now come back and seen strength. And I'll happily, go by what the market is telling me. But right now, the market is telling me to be cautious because we're below the short-term holder cost basis. For the bears, bearish confirmation would be, retesting this from the underside, as you can see on the left-hand side of the chart when we had these failed underside retests after 2017 heading into 2018. If you see a failed underside retest, that's confirmation that you really want to be, risk off. So, TLDR, as long as we're below 53K, I'm not bullish. If we can reclaim it, I'll happily, flip bullish again. And then bearish confirmation would be this failed underside retest.